Hello. Today is Tanis Esther. It's the fast of Esther. We're going into the holiday of Purim tonight. And one of the things that is associated with Purim is costumes, and specifically masks. And why is a mask? What does a mask have to do with Purim? Some people even question the whole idea that it would appear to be a type of celebration in which we have incorporated customs, perhaps of other societies. Why is a mask associated with Purim? Incidentally, the first time we see a mask is in the Chumash, and that is when Moshe Rabbeinu descends from the mountain. It says Ki karan or panav, that his face radiated with light, and that he put on a masveh, he put on a mask, and to hide, to shield the light. So the mask shields. Importantly to note, though, and this sometimes we don't take proper notice of, is that when it came time for Moshe to teach Torah to the Jewish people, to convey the word of Hashem, he actually took off his mask. So he did not, it's not as if the Jewish people no longer saw his face, only when he was not teaching Torah. When he was teaching Torah, the mask was removed. So a mask serves a dual purpose. On one hand, we see that it conceals, that it hides what is behind the mask. It is a veneer. On the other hand, though, it immediately clues us in that whenever there is a mask, it means that there is something which is beneath the mask. And this idea is going to be a dominant theme when we discuss the holiday of Purim. Purim is, first and foremost, it is associated with Esther. Esther, we know that her name, even though it is a Persian name actually, but that it's sourced and rooted in the Chumash itself. As the Gemara says, where do we find an allusion for Esther, for the holiday of Purim, in the Chumash itself? So it's the pasuk where Hashem says that it will come the time of exile, V'anochi haster asteras panai. Hashem says that I will surely, doubling the verb, I will surely conceal, seser meaning to conceal, to hide, I will hide my face in the times of Golus. And so right away we see that Esther is indicative of this concealment, of this masking of an underlying reality. We see further that the holiday of Purim is associated with this masking, with this covering up, by the fact that the holiday name itself is called Purim, which is a Persian word. Hebrew word for lots, for a lottery, is a goral, and yet we use the Persian word for it. Even more so, it is the only book of the Bible, of the Tanakh, in which the name of Hashem is not explicitly mentioned. So the dominant theme of Purim itself is concealment. But we also call it Megillas Esther. And Megillah, the word Megillah comes from the same word to tell, means gilui, to reveal. And so the book of Esther is not just telling us about that which is hidden, but it is just as Moshe takes off his mask in order to teach us about Torah, so too the book of Esther both wears the mask and takes off the mask to teach us about the reality of Hashem's presence in this world. We know that nature is called teva. That's the Hebrew word for nature. Interestingly though, when you look in the Chumash, you will not just in the Chumash, in Tanakh in general, you will not see the word teva used as a noun. In other words, nature is a noun, and it doesn't appear that way in the Chumash as a noun. We do know that it appears in the Chumash as a verb. Tavu b'Yam Suf. They were submerged in the Reed Sea. And so really, by the choice of using the word teva to describe nature, we see the deep insight as to how we should approach it. That nature is actually a reality which is submerged and not visible what is going on beneath the surface. Because it appears to act on its own, guided by laws of nature which are not subject to change and which are not guided or directed, and yet that is all just a mask. That is what is beneath the surface of the reality. Famous quote from the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov says that the only reason we call sunrise nature is because it happened yesterday. It's really everything is a miracle. It is what does a miracle mean? A miracle just means that it is divinely guided. It is not happening automatically, but it is divinely guided. Sunrise is truly a miracle because it is being guided by Hashem. If Hashem did not want the sun to rise, then it would not rise, no matter what the laws of nature might say. Some things he perpetuates in an orderly way, and sometimes he intervenes. And so, what Megillas Esther is so pertinent for ourselves that we do not live in the times of the Holy Temple. We do not live in times in which there are overt miracles. We live in times in which it would seem that the world at large, and more importantly to ourselves, that our private world seems to be guided by forces which are in place and certainly beyond our control, but not even apparently under Hashem's control. And comes once a year when we learn the story of Esther, and we see that that's the way things appeared to the Jews of that time, that it appeared to be just not divinely driven the course of life, but just naturally driven the course of life. The Baal Shem Tov said, Haster Aster is a double. What's the double concealment? Concealment, it's hidden, we don't see. The double concealment is that we don't even know that there is something which is concealed. We are oblivious to the fact that there is that which is unknown to us. That's the meaning of the double concealment. And so Purim is supposed to give us the insight that what we observe as terms of the function of nature is truly just the veneer. It is the packaging. It is the external container of Hashem's guidance and of his direction. And if we take this message to heart, it is the most life-changing thing, because we make so many decisions based upon the fact that things just are going to go in the natural order. Now, most of the time, we have to make decisions like this. We look before we cross the street, because the natural order of events is that if we were not to look before crossing the street, it would not be good. The outcome would not be good, God forbid. So on one hand, we are told that yes, we have to be aware and observe the laws of nature, only though when there starts to become a conflict between the Torah guidance and between the laws of nature. It is that moment when we say that really there can be no conflict, and if nature is getting in the way, then it will be put aside, because it is only the Torah and it is only Hashem which guides the world. We know the famous medrash about Avraham Avinu was going to the Akedah, was going to sacrifice Isaac, and that he saw this river in front of him which seemed to obstruct his way going to Yerushalayim, going to Hara Maria. And then he said, it might look like an uncrossable river, but Hashem has told me to go forward, and nothing in the natural world can prevent me from doing the will of Hashem. And when he did go forward, he noticed that it was a mirage, that there was no river there. And so this is what we take away from Purim, that there is the veil, there is the mask of nature which covers the direction of Hashem. We have to have the insight, and we have to have the open eyes to see beyond and beneath that veil, beneath that mask. And then, of course, our entire life will be one of not living in concealment, not groping in the darkness for direction and for guidance, but we will open ourselves up to the light, just like when Moshe was ready to his teaching Torah, and the Jewish people were ready to listen to Torah. Then they were no longer in the darkness, but they were able to share and to see the light which Moshe gave off. And this is our hope, that we read the Megillah twice, that it should be a message which is ingrained within us, and that even after Purim that we should carry on with that. So if there's any questions? Okay.